Okay, so I am going to do something that the service dealership told me you can't do it. I got tired of hearing that from the dealership. And I know going to the dealership is not the right thing to do to begin with. So, but I wanted to try to do it the right way and get it done the right way with OEM parts. This one is going to be, they told me that I could not put a HomeLink system in my truck because it wasn't geared for it. I got a little irritated and did some research and found out that it is true with the harness that's in the overhead console of my 2014 Chevrolet Silverado 1500 LT, which came base with the 4.2 radio, standard overhead console with just a on-off for the lights, your ambient lighting, and of course your side on and off map lights or whatever you want to call them. This is what I had to start with. The way to get this off, there's only basically 2 screws and 2 retainer clips. And the way to get this off is you have to let your sunglass visor down, okay? And now you have a gap to where you can reach in here, and this is just an inserted plate. It's got tabs around that push in and snap in, kind of like this whole thing here. But to pull this off, you'll need to reach under or open your sunglass holder, reach in and feel a little lip under this that this trim piece is, and then just kind of pull the trim piece, and it's open, and you can't see it at the moment. Kind of hard to see. I don't have the right lighting, and I'll show you this in a minute, but there's some holes where like a T10 torque T10 screw goes into, so there's 2 of them. And then that's it. Once you take these 2 out that you see, you then have these retainer clips right here that you have to pull down. These are kind of a booger bear, and they're actually kind of pulled out a little bit. These are kind of a booger bear because when you snap these up, these are the only thing holding the unit in once you take out these 2 screws that are, you know, located like right here and here. So stop the video, do what you gotta do. These things here, once they're out, this kind of dangles this way because these are the only 2 things that are holding it in. And when you pull those out, you're gonna have to put your hand up in here and kind of pull down and work it out as you come down. You have to be careful because I almost broke this once. Let's see if I can hold this up. This is my factory. That's the harness ID. If you can see the harness ID or the harness model number, OEM number, I'm going to replace that because it only has 4 connectors, 5, one for the ambient lighting, sorry, not the ambient lighting, the map light connector, the passenger airbag connector, and then of course your overall dome lights and your ambient lighting. There's only like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 connectors on this. I'm replacing that with this model number harness. Okay? This one has, I think it has every connector that could be possibly on or in your overhead console for 2014, 15, 16 Chevrolet Silverado 1500. That goes with this. As you look at this, there, and this is going to be really kind of hard to see, there is a bracket right under here that connects this big piece. It's really kind of hard to see right now. I'm going to try to pull it off and then show you, but pulling off all these harness connectors that are pushed through. This one's all pushed down through here, so we got more of them that's connected through here, and right here. There's, you know, just look at it and you'll see it. And of course, be careful when you pull out your connectors to your lighting or your accessories or whatever. I'm going to work on pulling these out diligently, smartly, without breaking anything. And I will get back with you when I get this done, because this is probably going to take me a little bit to figure out and make sure that some of these retaining clips do not break. All right, I will be back. Okay, this was a booger bear. Finally got it off. Here's my original OEM harness off. These push-through tabs, put my finger out of the way. These things here are a little bit of a booger bear. Careful, 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 careful is all I gotta say. Because you're only this thick in the plastic, and trying to push those back out. You can cut them off with a pair of dikes or something if you want. My suggestion, what I did basically is I was find a way to grab it and pinch the harness and then wiggle it and pull it out, and you're going to have to hold the frame like around, say like this is one of the holes here. You're going to have to put your fingers around the holes, wiggle this thing, and then pull it out so you're bracing where the hole is. Kind of hard to see, I know. Wiggle it, twist it, and pull it out at the same time, and it's going to take a little bit of muscle to get it done. But it's done. One note, make sure you take a picture or you know exactly what pins you pulled out to get these out, what they went to, and everything, because it says a whole lot more connectors on it. It's kind of dummy proof, but just to cover yourself and cover everything else, take a picture, draw it, I don't care, do whatever. Just take care of what you're doing. I know these two gray ones, where's it at? These two gray ones right here are go to the map lighting for the push button on and off. You know, they go there. This one, the white one, goes to the passenger airbag on and off. See the brown, it's kind of color coordinated almost. The brown goes to the, because I've already got these switched over, goes to the brown connector for the door on and off lights. And last but not least, there's a black one here. It's got two push-ins that goes for the ambient lighting. So we can do this. There we go. All right. This little bracket right here is a booger bear. Do not stick yourself. They've got sharp points that grab the plastic that as you push down, it grabs and holds so this thing doesn't move. These little tabs right here are a booger bear. It took me a little bit to, and it just so happens I have a really small screwdriver with even smaller heads. I don't know if you can see that. Smaller heads. I took the smaller head and had to put it underneath and wiggle this thing off. There's no grabbies, whatever you want to call them, there's no points that grabs on the connector on this. It's just a matter of picking up that pin and wiggling it off. I had semi better luck doing it this way, coming in from the side, going towards the center like this on both of them. and wiggle it off. And once you get this off, you're going to want to, because there's points here and points here and points on this side. Okay? So what you're going to want to do is grab the non-point side, however you want to do it, and pull and bend that back into a way. You can do it any way you want. Do it like you grab it and do it, you know, pull this one this way, push that one that way, just so when you put this back on this spot right here, it's going to grab, and you can actually see where it came off, where I had to pull it up. I got some scratchy marks where the grabbies, little points were digging into this, coming back up, so I kind of cleaned it up a little bit, not much. So I'm going to put this all together. This piece here, I'm waiting for these. I'm waiting for the transmitter and the buttons to come in. When it does, I got to go find me 2 screws because I didn't order the screws with it. That puts it back in. Little offset here. 2 screws to hold it down. And then I got to figure out which one of these. This is this one. Which one of these that are not used that fits into the HomeLink for my garage door opener. I'm going to piece this in, push them back through the holes where they belong, and weed everything through where it belongs. And I will continue on and show you the final result. Okay, finally got this thing back together. There was 3 extra connectors. One of them I've done some zip tying. I've zip tied this one kind of right inside the groove. I don't know if you can see it real well. See it over here. In this little hole that's in the top. So I've kind of set it in the hole and then kilted it in the hole and zip tied it right here, so it's pretty snug. That was one extra big connector that I don't use in my truck. I don't know what it goes to. The other 2, let's do it like this, are right here. Now there's a small one kind of inset on the L angle clip connector right here. So I just kind of married them together and then put a zip tie on it and tied it to this one here. One thing I went and looked at was this plug here. You have to be very careful where you zip tie it because it could be in the way of, one, your on-off door connector that pushes in, okay? So I had to make sure that I had room for the connector to come up through the deal, through the frame. Still got a little bit of a wire there, but I'll just move it over. So as you can see, right here, I'm not going to push it together just yet, but the connector is right here, the brown one, and it needed room for this to connect into and come up through the housing. This one is the same way. You have to be careful that you don't cover this one up either. This is the ambient lighting one, and of course this one right here, which is going to be my HomeLink when I get it in. I've gotten the harness in, and the harness number again was 23127742. That's the part number for the harness for my truck. The transmitter for my truck, HomeLink transmitter, part number is 22809886. It runs about $100, shipping, you know, 115, something like that. The buttons that mount to this plate, the buttons that you're going to be pushing on the bottom here, the transmitter sets on top. Button goes in first, transmitter second, and you screw the transmitters into these 2 screws, which I got to find 2 screws that aren't big enough for that, or too big for that. And the buttons themselves that you're going to push on, the part number for that is 22843 strike 2283-4550. This trim piece comes in different model numbers. It comes with a sunroof side, a back window button if you have electric sliding back window. I think that was it. There was just 2 other holes that would come into this. But the part numbers vary based on the holes that it's prepped for and the actual color. Mine is gray. Again, I had 1, 2, 3 extra connectors off of a base. Like I said, a base. I bought the truck back in late 2014, and it was a base. It had a 4.2 screen, which I upgraded to an 8. But I had to replace the radio control module and the HMI module, basically the screen and the module behind the glove box. I didn't touch the radio controller that's behind the screen. I left that alone. That ran me about $750 just to replace the screen and the HMI module. This probably ran me $150 to put the OEM HomeLink buttons, trim plate, transmitter, and harness. Maybe $180. I have to go back and look. Anyway, if you wanted it to keep, if you want to stay OEM, that's what you would do. That's what I did. Just my preference. I don't like splicing into wires or having too many problems with my stuff, so trying to keep it OEM. Other than that, 2 screws, 2 more pieces later, and I will be done. Oh, and just to show you, at the very beginning I pulled off this trim plate right here. This trim plate is only held on, and I pulled from this side here because that's where the door on-off buttons were. And when I reached up, I pulled here. This only has little tabs right here that just snap in. This is the only thing that goes around the perimeter. So pulling it off is not a really big deal. It doesn't seem to wear out really easy, so you could probably pull it off several times, just based on the plastic that I'm looking at. And the other one is made, exactly the same way because it's made for it's the trim plate for just what HomeLink had it. I only remember what the trim plate model number was, but the trim plate model number varies because of color and options on it. So anyway, I hope that helps. You can do it. You can change it. Don't let the serviceman tell you that you cannot. All you need is the harness, the new trim plate. This is the old trim plate. 2 screws that will fit into holding the transmitter and the buttons on, and that's it. So 1, 2, 3, 4 major parts and 2 screws to hold everything together. Everything else just snaps on. Other than that, I hope that helps you. Thanks.